Hello and thank you for joining us on Nationwide on the network service of the NTA. I'm Najat Atutijani. Remember to follow us across all social media platforms for all the latest news. And we begin with the upcoming elections. President Bola Tinubu has for the first time commented on the forthcoming off-cycle governorship elections in Bayelsa, Kogi and Imo states, calling for free, fair and peaceful conduct. The president sued for peace when he presented flags to governorship candidates on the platform of the APC ahead of the November 11 elections in the mentioned states. Governor Hope Uzodinma of Imo State is gunning for a second term, while Usman Ododo is contesting to replace Governor Yahya Bello in Kogi State. Timipre Silva also has an opportunity to aim for the #1 seat in Bayelsa State after his first spell, which was truncated in 2008. Meanwhile, the Nigeria Police Force and other security agencies say they are well prepared for the governorship elections in Imo, Kogi and Bayelsa. The Inspector General of Police, Kayode Egbetokun, updated journalists at the end of the Senior Officers Conference in Owerri.
We have completed our deployment. We have completed all plans. We have crossed all our T's and we have dotted all our I's. We are fully ready for this election. Our officers have been very well trained for this election, and we are deploying officers who have experience in providing security for elections. Apart from their experience, they have been trained and retrained. So all of them know their roles. I don't expect that any one of them will act outside the general rule.
Next is a call for prospective voters in Bayelsa, Kogi and Imo states to support security agencies to ensure a safe and secure environment for the forthcoming elections in the states. The Commandant, National Defense College, Rear Admiral Olumuyiwa Ulutu, stated this at a symposium on curbing electoral violence. Defense correspondent Ismail Musa reports.
In less than 10 days, INEC will be conducting off-cycle governorship elections in Bayelsa, Imo and Kogi states. To abate electoral violence, the stakeholders in the nation's security system and electoral commission are setting priorities for a safe and secured electoral process at this symposium organized by the National Defense College through the Center for Strategic Research and Studies.
And so this symposium offers a timely opportunity for experts and stakeholders to examine and conduct an environmental scan of the political environment in those states to determine the trends and dynamics of the emerging threats to the elections, as well as also to analyze some of the major drivers of these threats to offer actionable recommendations on how to enhance credible elections in those states devoid of rancor and acrimony.
Resources should be investigated, because most of this funding is not just focused on issues of campaign, but one, vote buying and strategic use of violence. That is where most of the campaign funds goes into.
The consensus is that merchants of violence are toxins in Nigeria's electoral system and should not be treated as petty criminals. In Abuja, Ismail Musa, NTA News.
Still on the polls, the Nigeria Civil Society Situation Room says the upcoming off-cycle elections in Bayelsa, Imo and Kogi states must shape the trajectory of electoral democracy in Nigeria. This was at its stakeholders meeting convened ahead of the polls in Abuja. Timothy Yusuf reports.
This stakeholders convening is coming ahead of the November 11 governorship elections in Imo, Bayelsa and Kogi states. An appeal to eligible voters never to submit themselves to be used by desperate politicians for electoral manipulations dominated discussion here.
The conduct of the last election has left many things that need to be urgently addressed so that we can improve on the conduct of the election.
For the National Assembly, reforming our electoral legal framework is sacrosanct at this time, and is a continuous process which we are fully committed to.
Meanwhile, some concerned civil society groups at a media briefing in Abuja are urging relevant authorities to caution desperate politicians blackmailing Nigerian security agencies for selfish gains.
We caution politicians not to obstruct security agencies in the performance of their constitutional assignment of checkmating criminal activities in the state, especially as election approaches.
The coalition is confident of a peaceful election, but that the security agencies must up their game to contain any threat to the democratic gains achieved so far. Timothy Yusuf, NTA News.
On the legislative front, the Senate has passed the 2023 Supplementary Appropriation Bill of 2.176 trillion naira as requested by the federal government. The bill was passed following consideration and adoption of the harmonized report submitted by the Senate Committee on Appropriations. The supplementary budget is to provide funds for critical needs such as additional palliatives, enhanced cash transfer to the vulnerable, additional funds for defense expenditure, as well as infrastructure.
The transfer as recommended. Part B, total recurrent non-debt expenditure as recommended. Part C, total capital expenditure as recommended. Aggregate expenditure as recommended.
The Senate has also confirmed the remaining 3 resident electoral commissioner nominees for INEC. The House of Representatives has passed for second reading a bill for an act to establish the Nigerian Non-Oil and Gas Content Development Council to provide for programs and structure for the use of Nigerian expertise and made-in-Nigeria goods and services in those sectors. Leading the debate on the bill, House Minority Leader Kingsley Chinda argued that the establishment of the proposed council would not be an additional burden to the federal government.
The idea is the same, borrowed from what we have in the Nigerian Content Bill, that the Commission will raise her own fund from participants in these sectors and in fact generate revenue for the government. From my experience in the oil and gas sector, I don't think that we should go through that route again to wait until we are properly exploited by foreigners in other sectors outside oil and gas before we start talking about local content.
National Assembly correspondent Mitaire Ikpen reports that the House, this Thursday's plenary, adopted a motion on the need to curb the leakage of classified information and documents from security agencies, sponsored by Representative Adedeji Olajide.
The rate at which classified information spreads on social media is also very disturbing, Mr. Speaker. Worried that if the Chief of Army Staff decries that the leakage of classified documents appearing on social media, then there is a serious issue at our hands.
The Police High Command has acknowledged the commitment of the federal government in supporting security agencies and other critical stakeholders to provide a secure and safe civil space to facilitate economic growth and development. Part of the 21 resolutions of the Owerri Senior Officers Conference, Francis Form reports that the conference also identifies cyber-related crimes as the prevailing trend in the country, while emphasizing the importance of artificial intelligence and robotics in combating such crimes.
C. Encouragement for the Nigerian police force to expand its use of enhanced technology tools, including the expansion of the MPF National Crime Center to FCID annexes and state commands, CIDs across the country. D. Emphasis on the significance of personnel remuneration and training in enabling the force to carry out its duties effectively and efficiently. E. The need to educate officers at all levels about social media tools and skills to enhance strategic communications and engagement with the nation's youth. F. Call for special funding of the Nigerian police force by federal and state governments, private and corporate bodies, with the National Assembly urged to facilitate a bill to review the existing police trust fund for adequacy and judicious use. The conference also recommends the exit of the Nigeria Police Reform
from the Nigerian police from the contributory pension scheme, reverting to the amended defined benefit scheme. And still on crime fighting, the Plateau Police Command has paraded 39 suspects arrested for various crimes within the month of October 2023. Bilkisu Nuhu reports.
The suspects were arrested on various charges such as armed robbery, kidnapping, car theft, defilement, gun running, cultivation and sale of cannabis.
One Peter Hassom, an 80-year-old man, was arrested for defiling an 11-year-old girl. Another case in point is the arrest of suspects in connection of a case of criminal conspiracy, kidnapping, culpable homicide. Through tracking, they were able to arrest one Elijah Anthony, a 17-year-old boy, of the same address with the kidnapped victim.
I kidnapped the boy and demanded for ransom, and the boy was later killed.
Items recovered from them include 7 pistols, 11 locally fabricated guns, 23 ammunition, 150 bags of dried cannabis, and 2 vehicles. The Commissioner of Police, Okoro Julius Alawari, says the success of the arrest is in line with the command's desire of restoring peace in Plateau State and bringing an end to every form of crime and criminality. In Jos, Bilkisu Nuhu.
Now joining us live from the police headquarters in Jos is Caleb Gochin with more on the recent arrest of 39 suspects for various criminal offences. Thank you for joining us, Caleb.
Thank you very much, studio, and thank you for linking us up in Jos. I tell you, from the story we've heard, Plateau people are definitely not happy. These are not stories that anyone would want to wake up to hear. But as you heard, the command is doing all that it could to ensure that this is taken care of. The crime, the suspects cut across all ages, and that is the concern now. The police public relations officer, DSP Alfred Alabo, is here with us, and we want to find out why this is so. Why is this happening in Plateau State?
Yes, these are happening based on several reasons. Some which we already know, and we are working on it, and that's why you're seeing the result. Others, we are still working on it to really ascertain why it is so. But we can tell you 1 or 2 things. The economy is biting, but it's biting on everybody. That is not an excuse for you to take to crime. Like the young man that was arrested for the case of kidnapping, Mr. Elijah Anthony. Elijah Anthony is a young man of 17 years. And you see also other people, the 750 kVA bags of cannabis, Indian M, popularly known as Igbo in our climes. And you see all these things. Both the young and the old take it.
You've rescued some kidnapped?
Yes. Of recent, just yesterday, we rescued about 6 kidnapped victims who were kidnapped in Bauchi State. And they brought them to our jurisdiction here on the plateau. And our DPO at Jingri, very hardworking officer, swiftly garner his men, and with help from other sister security agencies and security help groups like the Vigilante and the Neighborhood Watch, assisted us in making that rescue. The victims have been reunited with their families, and one of the suspects was neutralized. But unfortunately, one of the vigilant member was killed, and we are really not happy with that. But we are doing our best to ensure that Plateau State is crime-free.
All right, I've been asked that we have to get back to the studio, but as always, definitely the citizens have also a role to play. So back to the studio. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Caleb. That was Caleb Gochin, our correspondent in Jos, speaking with DSP Alabo on the ongoing efforts at curbing crime in Plateau State. We'll now join Hingino in Lagos for more news on Nationwide.
Reported cases of attacks on journalists in Nigeria between January and August this year. Experts say adequate security is germane for journalists to effectively carry out their duty as fourth estate of the realm without fear or favor. Joel Popola reports that this is the thrust of a discussion put together by the Voice of Nigeria to mark the International Day to End Impunity for Crime Against Journalists.
Journalists have a constitutional mandate of holding governments and institutions accountable in their bid to break the news. In doing this, experts say stepping on toes sometimes is inevitable. With the theme, Journalists as Endangered Species, the Voice of Nigeria is attempting to address the problem of needless attacks against men of the pen profession through public engagements. Various speakers at the event say the International Day to End Impunity for Crime Against Journalists is a day to remind relevant authorities and the larger society to respect media professionals and allow them do their job.
And you know, journalists are doing a lot of work, and we need to continue to celebrate them. We need to continue to fight for justice for those who have been attacked in one way or the other.
Voice of Nigeria say for the media to really serve as the voice of the voiceless, it must not allow its own voice to be muzzled.
As broadcast journalists, we have quite a number of them. We're interested in what happens to them, and we are also aware that the United Nations under UNESCO is doing a lot to ensure the safety of journalists.
If we don't discuss this issue, then we'll be having, because some of these things are discussions that we have to do, advocacy that we have to do, so that people who are in the position to correct things will be able to correct it.
First thing is, as a journalist, don't be the news, report the news. Ensure that your life is safe, no matter the issue you are covering.
Stakeholders agreed that conversations to ensure safety of journalists should be regular. In Lagos, Joel Popola, NTA News.
Talking health now, to strengthen the health sector in the country, priority must be given to research and innovation, hence the need to equip medical research institutes in the country. This, the Minister of State for Health and Social Welfare, Dr. Tunji Alausa, says will be given priority. Bolaji Akim completes the story.
In the past, Nigeria favorably competed among vaccine-producing countries. Precisely between 1940 and 1991, the country produced some vaccines, not only for local consumption, but export to African countries. Though the country still produces veterinary vaccines, sadly, human vaccine production has stopped. This narrative, the Minister of State for Health and Social Welfare says, will change with the 4 points agenda of President Bola Tinubu's administration, which include turning the searchlight on research and innovation in the health sector to meet the medical needs of all Nigerians.
All the drugs that's been marketed, are being sold in the country, they're called FPP, no single API. API, active pharmaceutical ingredient. FPP, finished pharmaceutical products. The President has given us the mandate that everything we need to do to fix and restore the healthcare system in Nigeria to where our citizens will get basic, comprehensive healthcare in a respectful manner, we should do it.
The good news is that the nation's Apex Medical Research Institute is also working towards vaccine designing, development, and production.
We patented one of our products. The other one is about being done, but we have 4 or 5 more that we are yet to do.
Now that efforts are on to actualize vaccine production in the country, Nigerians may not have to worry about vaccine nationalism in case of any pandemic. In Lagos, Bolaji Akim, NTA News.
Those are the reports from Lagos. We will continue the news with Gabriel Aminike in Port Harcourt after this break.
Just strengthen my resolve to do more. A challenge of this nature and a filter of this nature is more work. and more hard work, more dedication. It just appeal to the sense of patriotism of Nigeria to have a change of mindset. Let us be positive about our country, be ready to contribute in all ways possible. There's no promise of El Dorado from day one. We're all in this boat of diversity, a member of the same family, living in the same house, but staying in different rooms. And it is important that we recognize that we have no other country but this one.
History is history, so either you know it or you don't.
My advice to the younger generation is that they should learn from what we have started and what we have left.
I did things that ordinarily I should not have been doing. What that meant was that I was working hard.
Whatever assignment you are given in life, put in your best.
The military years were a disaster.
Smoldering effects.
Harcourt Network Center. It is a weekend, a few days to the off-cycle governorship election in Bayelsa State, and so political observers are urging the electorate not to sell their votes to higher bidders, but vote the candidate of their choice whom they can hold accountable. And the special report, Aya Prezi, highlights the impacts of vote trading on governance.
Vote trading, popularly referred to as selling and buying of votes before or during elections, is a growing political culture that makes entrance to Nigeria's political lexicon and gained popularity in Africa's largest democracy in recent years. This growing political culture in our nation's democratic environment, which only appeals to and meets the immediate physiological needs of the already impoverished electorate, is an ill wind that will continue to undermine the democratic process, where the highest bidders buy their ways into political offices at the expense of credibility. Observers who frown at this undemocratic political culture are concerned that if not checked, democracy will lose its savor and meaning to the common man, as persons with good intentions and leadership credentials, but without the requisite financial muscles, would never be given the opportunity to access political power. These political watchers further observed will continue to compromise accountability and good governance, as leaders who buy their way to power would not feel accountable to the people anymore.
They want to go for the money. They're not going for the real person. So I don't think vote buying is right.
I don't think I will encourage anybody to go and sell his or her PVC, but people are doing it.
Everybody is free to cast their votes, and I pray that they are going to cast the right votes to the right person.
As Bayelsans look forward to November 11 off-cycle governorship polls with great excitement and hopes, observers are consequently urging voters not to trade away their future for immediate gains, as the socio-economic implications of such behavior are grave and far-reaching. Enyenagwa, Aya, Brazil, NG News.
Chief of Defense Staff General Christopher Musa has assured of the commitment of the Nigerian military, the protection of Nigeria's integrity. The Chief of Defense Staff gave the assurance during his visits to the 6th Division Nigerian Army Port Harcourt. Emmanuel Rim reports.
That guard of honor announces the grand entry of the Chief of Defense Staff, General Christopher Musa, to the 6th Division of the Nigerian Army Port Harcourt. It is part of his ongoing tour of various troops across the country, as well as interface with them towards addressing their challenges. He tasked the officers and men of the division to remain professional in the discharge of their duties and thanked President Tinubu for his support to the military.
We want to assure Nigerians
that nothing like coup is going to take place in Nigeria. All members of the armed forces are happy with democracy and will continue to defend democracy.
On the forthcoming off-cycle elections in Bayelsa, Imo and Kogi states, the Chief of Defense Staff had this to say.
3 states will have off-season elections. We are also ensuring or providing adequate security. We want it credible, free and fair to enable every voter to come out without being scared or being intimidated by anyone. And to also set a warning to all those that are used to doing the old ways of using violence to intimidate people, steal ballot boxes, that those days are gone.
The Chief of Defense Staff also inaugurated the office complex of the 46th Engineers Brigade and Counter-Improvised Explosive Devices Squadron. Also was the unveiling of the signage and renamed streets in barracks, inauguration of newly constructed magazine, corporal and below quarters, as well as tree planting to enhance 6th Division biodiversity efforts. In Port Harcourt, Emmanuel Lene, NTA News.
And as a package from Port Harcourt, Nationwide continues with Nadatu in Abuja.
Thank you, Gabrielle. And now an example of unity as demonstrated by the peace and love which exists between the Hausa community and indigenes of Asaba Delta State is worthy of emulation, say key players who have witnessed this peaceful coexistence. Susan Isu visited the settlement and now reports.
And unity is the message of all religions. This is so because the greatest of all commandments is love. It is amazing to see people from different tribes, beliefs, and religions coexist for many years and even centuries without any rift. Kebu community is one of the settlements of the Northerners in Asaba, the Delta State capital. In an interaction with leaders of this community, it is revealed that most of them have been in the state for decades.
We have different languages, the Hausa community, the Nupe community, but this is not where we started from. When our forefathers came, they were at Togo.
Some of us were born and brought up here, you understand? So we speak Igbo. You understand? So that is, you can see how the closeness, because anything they are doing in the palace, like Asaba Palace, they used to call us.
Any event, their festival or anything they are carrying out, they normally inform us. And 1 or 2 or 3 of us sit with them, congratulate them. It's been very peaceful coexistence here.
Susan Isu, NTA News.
Now to see for ourselves, we'll be joining Susan in Asaba to talk more on the issue and show us this demonstration of peaceful coexistence. Hello, Susan.
Hey, Najatu Tijani. Good afternoon from here. All right, I'm right here in the palace of the Sariki of the Hausa community, a man who has been able to, put the members of his community together for the peace and development of the state. And then, of course, one amazing thing for me is a number of years they have spent in Asaba. He said they came into this place since 1884. And of course, Saraki Alhaji Ibrahim Bagero will tell us more about their existence here and how they cope and live with members of this community and, of course, Delta State in general. Good afternoon, sir. Good afternoon. We are glad to have you. So tell us, how long have you been here?
Our grandfather came to Asaba 1884, and we, the Ario community, including the Nupi and other tribes, Gara and other tribes in Asaba, we live in peace with the community, the residents community, Asaba community.
Okay, how long have you been here? When did you come here?
We came here 1884. Okay. And my father was born here, and I myself, I was born here. I born my children here. And the majority of our people, our people live in peace with the indigenous, and you know that we, the Muslim community or Ariwa community in Asaba, where Asaba community is part of us.
Okay, so what is your relationship with other tribes that are living within you?
We are living peace. And we're doing together. During Christmas time, we used to go to their house and do everything together with them. During Salah, we used to do Salah with them, do everything with the Christian community. And during Ezibu of Asaba here, our people used to go, even me, I used to go formally to Asaba community, traditional Ezibu by then. And even now during Molid, Igbo Asaba community and other community from the Asaba here, different community used to join us and do everything together.
All right, so what's your relationship with the state government?
The relationship with we and the state government, we cannot say that because we thank the state government a lot because they have appointed our subject during Iburi, Uduahan, Okoa. We have SA, almost 5 SA, and chairman of pre-green board is a Hausa man from Kano. We know that we here were free. Okay. We have.
Okay, thank you very much. Of course, you heard it from the Sariki himself. There is an existing harmonious and peaceful relationship between the Hausas and indigenes of Delta State. I think it is something worth emulating. Thank you, Tijani.
Thank you, Susan, for that interview with the Sariki in Asaba on the peaceful coexistence between the northern or Arewa community and the good people of Asaba. The new Director General of the Federal Radio Corporation of Nigeria has assumed office with a pledge to justify government's efforts in the corporation. Deborah Balagbobo covered the handing over ceremony in Abuja. Now reports.
Over the reign of authority of the Federal Radio Corporation of Nigeria, Dr. Mohammed Bulama described his appointment as an opportunity to serve government with proper ways of information dissemination. He said with over 40 substations across the Federation, his tenure would focus on training, improved facilities, and staff welfare.
A lot of resources have been committed. We need to justify why government is spending so much on us, but we also need to justify why government should even spend more on the FRCN. With over 40 radio stations spread across Nigeria, there's no reason why the FRCN should not be of course, along with the NTA or our sister organization, why we cannot be leading the broadcasting industry.
We are handing over a radio station, a radio corporation that is a better state than we met it. And I'm wishing him all the best. And I'm sure he's capable of doing it.
A one-time Commissioner of Information, the new Director General, FRCN, Dr. Mohammed Bulama, promised to use his wealth of experience to bring a fresh perspective and strategic direction to the organization. Deborah Balagbobo, NTA News.
Thank you, Deborah. Fatima is in Makudi with more stories. Over to you, Fatima.
And thanks for joining us in Makudi. All conflicts, no matter how intractable, are capable of being resolved peacefully. It is on this premise that the Institute for Peace and Conflict Resolution, in partnership with the Benue State Peace and Reconciliation Commission, drew key players in the state to brainstorm on ways to end border encroachment and other communal crises in Benue. Iverin Solomon was at the meeting held in Makudi. Now reports.
For some time now, there have been lingering crises at the Nigerian-Cameroon border, as well as other communal clashes that are affecting the nation's economy. Due to the persistent increase on internally displaced persons and refugees in the country, especially from Kwande local government area of Benue State that borders Cameroon, that the Institute for Peace and Conflict Resolution carried out a research to ascertain the main cause of the clashes and to find lasting solutions. The Institute for Peace and Conflict Resolution in turn engaged various key players in Benue State to further deliberate on the fact-finding report so as to submit to the federal government for implementation.
All this, we have brought them here and the Peace Commission here in Benue State so that we can talk about the challenges facing the people of the Nigerians who are by the border with Cameroon.
These communities right now in Nigeria, it is devastated with lots of solid minerals. So if we're able to do that, we'll also boost, that place has the capacity to boost the nation's GDP and all of that.
I am hoping that this conversation will not just end at whether or not there is an encroachment, but it will be taken forward to have a discussion around how do we develop this environment to man the border in a manner that there won't be criminal activities going on there.
The infrastructures that Nigerian government, Union State government is supposed to have put there is nothing there.
Founded in 2000, the Institute for Peace and Conflict Resolution is a body under the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, which is saddled with the responsibility of promoting peace and neighborliness. In Makurdi, Iverin Solomon, NTA News.
Away from conflict management, the Federal Road Safety Corps, Benue State Command, says it is committed towards reducing road traffic deaths and injuries in 2023. Sector Commander Steve Ayodele stated this at the flag-off of the Ember Month campaign at the Lafia Park, North Bank, Makurdi. Grace Anyalewai Chepa reports.
Are usually associated with increase in vehicular movement as a result of festivities during the months. According to statistics available in 2022, 301 crashes occurred involving 1,819 persons, in which 118 people lost their lives and 946 sustained various degrees of injuries in the state. It is to enlighten drivers and other road users that the Federal Road Safety Corps has embarked on its annual Ember Month campaign to sensitize them on road safety measures.
On our part, we will continue to strive and provide the required traffic management desired to achieve our target by leveraging on your support.
This campaign should not stop here. We must go back to our various camps, wherever we're coming from. Anyone, TW, NATO, Nupeng, wherever we are, let's go back to our various parks, our various drivers, and talk to them.
More security outfits are drafted on our roads to ensure compliance of speed.
There were goodwill messages and demonstration of first aid by the Red Cross Society and prevention of road safety crashes by the FRSC-CDS group of the National Youth Service Corps. The theme of the 2023 campaign is Speed Thrills but Kills, Drive Responsibly and Avoid Overloading. In Makurdi, Grace Anyalewa, Ichekwa, NTA News.
And that's it from Makurdi. Nationwide continues with Comfort in Enugu after this break.
Nigeria means unity.
Nigeria means freedom to me.
Nigeria means greatness to me.
Nigeria is indivisible. There is nothing you can do. We all have to savage it together and learn to love each other. We are indivisible.
As a mother and a leader, I will always preach for peace and unity in this country, because that is the only thing that will give us progress.
Though tribes and tongues may differ, in brotherhood we stand. And it is the woman that does that.
Lovebirds, Jayola and Adama Davies. Their dream of living together as man and wife has finally been fulfilled.
The latest couple in town, Mr. and Mrs. Jaye Davies!
an invasion by their troublesome families was not a scenario they bargained for. Her mother moves in. His mother shows up with his little niece. Then her younger sister joins the scramble.
You want to stay?
Married life suddenly becomes very complicated even before it started. Follow their story on this channel as they confront every challenge as it
Welcome to Enugu Network Center. About 5,000 youth have benefited from the 2 billion naira grant of the One Youth, Two Skills scheme, newly introduced by the Anambra State government. Ndem Kalu reports that the checks were disbursed to the first batch during the graduation and business financing ceremony for beneficiaries.
The scheme is to fulfill the promise of the present administration to create 1,000 youth millionaires and 130,000 private jobs annually, thereby making Anambra the skill hub of West African sub-region and produce smart entrepreneurs who are economically productive and socially responsive.
We are interested in taking your destiny in your own hands. You are interested in acquiring the basic skills and knowledge. Not just the skills to do it, but also the knowledge to run a business.
Reaching the financial stage of the pilot phase, Batch 2 has already received the data of over 150,000 youths across the state, including 6,000 applications from expert trainers and vocational institutions in 55 skill areas.
Government at all levels have to play a key role as off-takers, while the private sector encourages young entrepreneurs through patronage, so that in Anambra we will use what we produce and produce what we use.
Beneficiaries expressed gratitude for the program.
I'm going to buy more equipment, get more accommodation, then I will now create websites that will enable me to market my product very well.
I'm not from Anambra State. Service brought me to Anambra State, but look at me here. I was given opportunity to be empowered.
The ceremony featured presentation of 2 billion naira check as startup fund and certificates. In Oka, Ndem Kalo, NTA News.
And socio-economic activities have been grounded to a halt following an unending gridlock along 9th Mile Upin-Suka Old Road in Enugu State. Tiagono Aro reports that heavy-duty truck drivers are stranded for days at the Ukehe axis due to the deplorable state of the federal road.
Become a lingering nightmare to communities residing along the old federal highway from 9th Mile to Upin-Suka in Enugu State, as travelers and heavily loaded lorries take over the road on both sides in an unending gridlock, leaving the communities in utter hopelessness.
If you go out there, you see the line of trailers from Upi Junction to 9th Mile. There's no road for us. We cannot even go to church. We can't go to school unless you are trekking it.
People carry most of these perishable goods from the north. So by the time they come, and then you stay 1 week or 2 weeks, those goods must have perished.
And this is a trunk A road, which connects most communities along this axis. It's quite unfortunate.
Trailer drivers, on their part, bemoan their untold experiences as they are trapped in an unending gridlock without food and shelter for days running into weeks. The most excruciating ordeal is when some of these vehicles are conveying dead bodies of their loved ones for burial.
Serious, we need help. Serious, because we suffer for this road, not be small thing. Sometimes we will reach like 4 days, 5 days for you. Poor food no day for you.
How many days were they here now? I did like 2 weeks.
Oh, so where are you going to?
On Port Harcourt.
Residents appealed to relevant authorities for urgent intervention as life has dwindled into a daylight robbery of their livelihood. It is worthy of note that these two highways are gateways from the east to the north and south. It is therefore expected that when they are fixed, socio-economic activities will be restored in Enugu, Chiegono Aro, NTA News.
And that's our contribution from here. Is back to Najatu in Abuja for more reports on Nationwide.
Thank you, Comfort. And from Enugu, we head to Bauchi State. The Livestock Productivity Resilience Empowerment Support Project, LPRES, is a World Bank project in collaboration with the Ministry of Agriculture and Food Security, aimed at improving the lives of both farmers and herders in Nigeria under the Renewed Hope Agenda. Bulak Afsab reports on the project in Bauchi State.
The National Coordinator of the Livestock Productivity Resilience Empowerment Support Project, Sanusi Abubakar, while inspecting one of the ranches for the project, has noted the lack of functional milk production center as a challenge.
Our major challenge is feed for our cattle. We need machine for the production.
Farmer header crisis prevention and mitigation, modern livestock production and contingency emergency response are among the 5 components of the LPRES project.
It can go a long way in improving the productivity of livestock, the commercialization, and above all, conflict resolution. Because with this, they don't need to go out. You can see what is happening. Easily, the market linkage is created, and we are here. We will support them. That's why we have the mandate of our ministers to come here and look at how we can improve what the ministry has done already.
There are a number of interventions that have been done already by the government, but a lot more will come. And I believe that the rural road, we have had the cry of the community.
The 6-year-long project, which is simultaneously going on in 20 states, will provide sanity and improvement in the entire country's livestock production system. In Bauchi, Bulak Afsa, NTA News.
And now to security matters. The Nigerian army, in conjunction with local vigilante groups, have succeeded in rescuing 4 victims kidnapped by bandits in Bangi Hill of Suru local government area of Kebbi State. The troops of 1 battalion, Dukku Barracks, Birnin Kebbi, also dislodged a large number of bandits in an operation against them. The Director of Security Cabinet Office, Birnin Kebbi, Abdurrahman Usman, says 4 kidnapped hostages were released in the process, rescuing that Governor Nasir Idris' directive for security operatives to dislodge criminals has been recording significant success. Governor Duyediri has approved the implementation of 30% minimum wage for pensioners and other retirees in Bayelsa who were not initially captured before the policy came into effect in the state. This development is in fulfillment of a promise made by Governor Duyediri during the 2023 Workers' Day celebration, after the submission of a committee report by the Secretary to the Bayelsa State Government, Gideon Ekiwumi. The payment of the consequential minimum wage for the pensioners, as approved by the Governor, will begin on the 1st of October 2023. The United Nations Town Agency says it will continue to champion and promote human rights, especially through humanitarian activities towards the actualization of sustainable development goals. The Secretary General of the agency, Aya Asif, gave the assurance during a meeting with executive members of the United Nations Agency in Nigeria. Adebola Brookslyn reports.
The United Towns Agency for North-South Cooperation, an affiliate of the United Nations Economic and Social Council, was founded in 1982 to ensure the rights of all to basic necessities of life and encourage peaceful relations amongst communities. Secretary General of the UN agency, Aya Esif, said the Nigerian chapter has been in operation for over a year and has been exceptional in its dealings in line with the UN Charter.
Not only for Nigeria, but also international cooperation, because the agenda we have poverty, we have lack of education, women, new technology, financial inclusion. So all these items, we are working on it, but we have to identify here in Nigeria what's the lack. from where we have to put or to valorize.
Abigail Amalaha is the country president of the UN Town Agency for North-South Cooperation in Nigeria.
UTA have been doing a lot in terms of humanitarian aspect, giving out scholarship, protecting the right of the less privileged, people that cannot speak for themselves. Our plan next year is to visit most of the hospitals to protect the rights of women. United Towns Agency says it is working with the Nigerian Women's Football League on using football as a tool to achieve peace, inclusion, and financial literacy among women and girls in communities. Adebola Brookslyn, NTA News.